Peace, family. Today I want to talk to you about unexpected ways that your psychic power can manifest. Now, we've all had those moments when we think of someone and they call, or maybe we run into them, or someone else brings them up. Or, we've had those moments where maybe we want a certain thing and somebody like brings us that exact thing. And I'm talking about small things. Maybe this is food. Like maybe you were like, oh, I really wanted to eat something from that particular restaurant. And then somebody calls you up and they're like, hey, girl, let's meet at this restaurant. And you're like, oh, snap. I just literally was thinking about that. You know, um, it's like we don't really notice it, but we use our psychic power in our everyday lives for really mundane things. But normally, unless it's the kind of thing where you have a really bad feeling about a person, place, or thing, and I feel like that's actually rare, even though that's the part of intuition that's most publicly publicized. But I think that for the most part, our psychic power is associated with good feelings and positive reward. And so we tend to feel really happy to make these little connections that make us feel really, really connected in terms of, the way that we feel inside of our bodies. It feels good. Like, oh, I knew something good was going to happen, or I just had a feeling about this, or whatever. And sometimes if it's not overtly positive, even if it's more neutral, like instead of a joy, it's just a knowing, right? Like, oh, dang, it's raining. I knew I should have brought my umbrella, right? But like even in that example, in the moment where something, quote unquote, something, that's what we call our intuition, where something told you to bring your umbrella, it wasn't a negative feeling or a foreboding. It was more so a neutral voice that's very soft, that's so neutral, you can choose not to listen to it. And so that's what I'm trying to say. Most of the time, our psychic impulses, or at least we're taught that they are, like either positive or neutral. Okay. So this means that, in my experience, people tend to discount their negative feelings as also being manifestations of psychic power. And I don't mean negative feelings like, oh, I just don't trust this person, or oh, I just have a bad feeling about that, or that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, okay, I'll give y'all an example. When I was married to my ex-husband, say he would leave the house for a while, like maybe to go to the grocery store. And I would like what I wouldn't be clocking him, but there would just be this moment where all of a sudden out of nowhere, I would just get this like swell of irritation and anger at the fact that he wasn't back yet. So like I'm saying, it wouldn't be like a gradual thing to where I'm like, okay, it's been an hour, it's been an hour and a half, where is he? Where is he? And you gradually get more angry. I mean, it's kind of thing where I would just be chilling, not feeling no type of way about it. And then out of nowhere, I would just get pissed off. So when that would happen, I would call him and I would be like, yo, where are you? Um, because I would interpret the feeling to mean that he had been gone too long, but it wouldn't be gradual. It would just be out of nowhere. So, but anyway, it never failed that if I called him and I would be like, yo, where are you? He would always say, oh, I'm around the corner. And then he'd pull up like 2 minutes later. So this was just interesting to me, like, because at first I felt stupid. Like, damn, every time I get mad and I call him, I end up looking impatient because he's right around the corner, right? So I started not wanting to be so impatient, right? I started trying to be more patient. So um I like tested the theory. So the same thing would happen, right? Where he would be gone, I would be chilling, not worried about it, and I would get that swell of anger and irritation. But this time, instead of using that information in my body as a signal that I'm supposed to call this man now and find out where he is because he's been gone too long, instead I just would wait. I would just like feel the irritation, but I would just let it, I would observe it and not take it as personally, and just be like, okay, well, let me see what's gonna happen. And like clockwork, even if I didn't call him, like within 5 to 10 minutes after I felt that extreme burst of irritation, he would be home. So I started recognizing that it was like that feeling that I had of annoyance or irritation was really me feeling him enter my energy field. It was it's like radar. But when I would pick up on it, when my energy would pick up on his energy, because our energy stretches out so far, so much further beyond us than we can see, or that you would logically think. We're bigger than we think. You know what I mean? So I would I just realized that it was actually like my body signal to letting me know that he was almost there. So I will say this, I've noticed that this does not only happen with him, or that this has not only happened with him. Now, I have noticed that it does happen in instances where I'm trying to wait on something and I'm feeling impatient. But, and I think this is an important distinction, and maybe you can relate to this too. It has only happened, this feeling of irritation or impatience, as a signal that a certain person is actually nearby. Okay. It only happens with people who have played with me or wasted my time. I'm gonna say it again. This has only happened with people who play with me and or waste my time. Now, if I'm dealing with somebody that's never played with me and has never wasted my time, then I don't experience this sense of anger or irritation towards them out of nowhere. And when I say that I only experience this with people who have played with me or who have wasted my time, it does. I don't be upset with them at the moment that I feel irritated towards them. And this is how I know that it's more of a psychic impulse, and that's what I'm trying to tell you, is because the difference is I won't be thinking about them at all. I won't be irritated with them, and then I am, and then they appear. So, yeah. The other example that I have is okay, so I used to work with somebody who kind of played with me. And when I say play with me, I just mean like kind of played me to the left. Like, I guess I could say they were just fake. But I was naive and I didn't realize it at the time. Like, sometimes people could just be playing in your face, like playing like they like you when they really don't like you. And you don't really notice the difference because it's that, it's polite. So you don't know that that's what's happening, but you look back in your memories and there is just like this kind of coldness that you remember, or just kind of like a shadiness, or even you can tell that maybe they probably talked a little shit on you. So maybe you were seeing guilt, but you didn't recognize that for what it was. So anyway, yeah, I worked with a person like that. So years later, though, I asked this person for a recommendation because they're the only person left at the job that I can ask. And even in me asking this person for the recommendation, like, they play with me. Again, they say yes, but then they don't, like, they need to be reminded. They don't do it by the deadline. They ignore reminders, and then they reply like at the final hour with like apologies and excuses, and then they're like, okay, I'll do it right away, and then they still don't do it right away. And so, yeah, they was playing with me, right? So for me, I just got, because I don't let people play with me no more, so I just got a backup person to recommend me, because you just can't be in a position where one person who's gonna play with you like makes or breaks anything about your life. You can't rely on people who play with you. Okay. So, like I said, I got a backup, and at this point, I'm cool. It's like I'm not mad because I am a little irritated, but not like actively, because I am aware that this person's actions haven't really affected my life in any way. So I'm more so annoyed, but I'm not worried. I'm not like stressed out. It's nothing like that. Like, my application was complete. It got turned in on time. But then there was this moment where, like, out of nowhere, I just got so mad at that person. And in my head, I just cussed them clean out. Okay. In my mind, I called them all sorts of names. And right after this happened, like after I have this like energetic tantrum, I go online and see that at the exact moment that I was having that tantrum, that person was submitting the recommendation. Because it shows you like the minute they send you an email saying like such and such has submitted the recommendation. So you can see the minute where it happened, and the minute where it happened was the moment where I had like a flare up of anger towards this person. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes your psychic knowing is going to feel like getting really, really pissed off or angry or irritated out of nowhere. And it can be really easy to like assume that these emotions are arising, like actively arising within you, because you don't realize they're just basically like a psychic bat signal telling you that somebody is in your energy who has played with you or will play with you. So it can be really easy to like think that these emotions are happening in real time, and then you like want to cuss people out or fuss at them, or like say in the instance with my ex-husband, if I would take these moments to call him and be like, you ain't where the fuck you say you are, and you always just did. But really the nigga is down the street. You see what I'm saying? Like it's a moment where you could really choose to overreact because of the emotions that you're feeling. So that's just why I'm telling y'all this, because I feel like if you are aware that negative emotions can just be like a psychic signal, you don't have to act on them all the time and then create a situation for yourself where you feel like you have to defend yourself or defend your energy when really it's a blessing and a gift. It's your psychic power. Okay. Just like when, old people, their bones will ache because it's about to rain, or horses will get agitated in twister weather. This is just your body's way of saying that something is coming. It's like a cosmic heads up. So you don't have to get mad, like give in and get mad. You just are aware that it's a feeling and it'll pass. Okay. So one way to test this theory is just to try not to give in to your angry thoughts. And, it's one thing if you're in an argument or a disagreement with somebody and y'all are going back and forth. And I'm not saying, like, don't defend yourself at that time. I'm not saying don't argue if you're in an active situation with somebody. Like, please handle your business by all means. But I'm saying, like, if you're just chilling or working or watching TV and suddenly angry or anxious thoughts appear out of nowhere, you want to resist the urge to grab a hold of those thoughts. Because it is so easy to have a negative feeling and then search for a reason to feel that way. Okay. And you're always going to find a reason. If you look for a reason to feel shitty, you're going to find a reason. But how does that help you? It doesn't. What it does is it just pulls you off your square. It fucks up your day. And that's not what you want. So if I'm minding my business and suddenly I start to feel insecure out of nowhere, like, ooh, I hate my skin. I'm so fat. No one loves me. All these things. I used to do the thing where I would believe those thoughts, right? So then when you do go look at yourself in the mirror and you start to pick yourself apart, or you start to try on old clothes and they're too tight or whatever, like you just go down that rabbit hole of hating yourself. We've all done this. Like at first it'll start in you, but eventually it'll go out towards other people, because then you'll be upset and you'll be crying and people will be like, what's wrong? And you'll be like low-key looking for validation. And then if they don't give it to you in the right way, then you start to think that what you think is really true. Like, oh, they don't love me. They're not attracted to me. It could just become like such a downward spiral of your mental health. And it's just a shame that because we don't recognize our psychic gifts sometimes, we get kicked off these hills when we shouldn't. We're really experiencing like evidence of our mental power, but we just don't know what to look for. So, okay, I'm just saying it's easy to get a random feeling and then shape reality in a fucked up way to match that feeling. So that's what I don't want us to do anymore. Okay, don't be like me. Don't learn from me. Don't do that. When you get negative emotions out of nowhere, okay, you need to make those motherfuckers show ID. Because you have to ask yourself, like, who do these feelings belong to? Are they mine? They don't look like mine because I was having a good day. I don't have any reason to start feeling this way about myself or about this person or about this situation. So what we need to understand is that a lot of times our psychic power is like a radio. But don't forget that radios go out two ways. They put out signals, but they also pick up signals, okay? So sometimes, just like a receiver, you're picking stuff up that's just within your wavelength, within your radio wave, like a receiver. So the same way you can get a song stuck in your head out of nowhere, and this has happened to all of us, where our brain will be pretty much blank, and then a song, and not even in the beginning of the song, it's always like picking it up in the middle, right? It's almost like you're hearing it, like somebody just turned a station up and suddenly you can hear something you couldn't hear before. Well, when that happens, though, you know damn well this is somebody else's song. You know you didn't write this song. You know you didn't make this song. You know this ain't your song. You may know the words. You maybe can sing along with the song, but you know it's not your song. And it's the same way. You want to exercise that same knowing when you get a thought stuck in your head, that you know damn well it ain't your thought. You may be able to speak along to this thought. Maybe you've had similar thoughts. But at this moment, This is somebody else's thought, okay? And so the difference between, like I said, a song and a thought is you know for sure that the song is not yours. But sometimes we struggle to believe that the thought is not ours, especially if it's a negative thought, because for some reason, negative thoughts can be really, really easy to believe. So that's why you just have to exercise, not even caution, but suspicion when you have negative thoughts. Because, okay, in the example that I gave earlier about feeling ugly out of nowhere, okay, I've learned that more likely, in terms of the current explanation that I'm giving you, more likely the thing is someone that you're connected to feels ugly when they think about you. Somebody feels insecure and unloved when they compare themselves to you. And you could have no idea that this person is comparing themselves to you. So you could overhear their thoughts and mistake them for your own. Because maybe they're sitting somewhere like scrolling social media. Maybe they see your picture, they're staring at your picture. And think about this, if you have thousands of followers or hundreds or whatever, and you're posting pictures of yourself and you're purposely trying to look beautiful and happy, it's not too far-fetched to think that someone could scroll past you, your image, and feel negativity about themselves. We all do that. We've all done this, okay? But what we don't realize is they could be thinking and looking at their picture thinking like, oh my God, her skin is so beautiful. My skin is so ugly. Her body is beautiful. My body is ugly. She looks like this. I'll never look like this. But the thing is, when you hear those thoughts, you're not gonna have the distinction of like, this person is thinking this about themselves. You just literally hear the thoughts. So what you're gonna hear is, I look like shit. I'll never look like that. I'll never be beautiful like that. My skin is so bad. Like, you see what I'm saying? So it's one thing if you're constantly feeling insecure, if you're constantly feeling thoughts like that, then in that case, you just really need to bolster yourself up and get some positive affirmations and figure out a way to love yourself. Like that's old. Like everybody goes through that, and everybody kind of knows how to work themselves out of that. Or, at this point we do the best we can. But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about genuine self-esteem issues. I'm talking about when you know that you are cool with yourself. When you've even established like a sense of love and appreciation for yourself, and then out of nowhere you start feeling like shit, okay? You really need to question where that is coming from, because most likely it is not coming from you. So you always have to ask where your thoughts, especially your negative thoughts, are coming from before you decide to believe them, okay? You definitely don't need to believe any thought that puts you in a fucked up state of mind. Absolutely not. You return that to sender. You say, you know what, this actually doesn't belong to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and send that back. And you don't have to know who you're sending it back to, nor do you have to send it back with any malicious intent. Because like I said, it could really be coming from a place where if you knew who was feeling this way, who's thought you was really picking up, you would feel bad for them. You would feel love and compassion towards them. So that's another thing, is like, if you would feel that way towards them, feel that way towards yourself. That sometimes that's a way of just like, that's like a cheat code towards alleviating those negative feelings. But like I was saying, even if you don't know who those feelings are coming from, sometimes the simple awareness that, yes, I am feeling shitty, but like, you just hold space for the possibility that these are not actually your feelings, it just blows them apart like a cloud, because it's an illusion. You know what I mean? It's not real. It's just a thought bubble that's hanging over you. And when you look at it, you pop it, it disappears. So, yeah, where was I? Oh, this is what I wanted to say. Now, here's the other thing. In my experience, this does not just happen with like angry and irritated emotions, but sometimes this can happen with sad emotions too. So there'll be times where I'm just overcome with sadness out of nowhere, and then suddenly, and like I said, it could be really easy to like start attaching real thoughts and memories to these feelings instead of just letting the feelings be what they are, which is just water and energy that just kind of roll over you. But in my experience, when I'm overcome with sadness out of nowhere, suddenly I'll start thinking about the past, and I'll think about, ex-partners, ex-friends. I'll think about people that have passed away. And, you could start to feel just overwhelmed with like guilt and regret and start, wondering like, what happened? Why don't I talk to that person anymore? Well, knowing damn well that you don't talk to them for a good reason, but it can still be really easy to just slip back into this space of questioning yourself, questioning the decisions that you've made. And again, what I'm saying is this is the kind of thing where I've had to kind of observe what happens next, because the impulse can be to alleviate that guilt and that discomfort and that sadness. And so you want to start calling a bunch of people and torturing yourself about things that you can't change, or reaching back into the past, going back to people that you know that you were right to move on from, but suddenly you're having doubts and you want to spare yourself the pain of those doubts or those negative feelings. But for me, when I've noticed, and so this is my advice to you, I'm not saying don't reach back to people, but I'm saying just take a minute. Just give it a minute. Because the thing that I've noticed is like when I hold back from that impulse and I just observe that I feel that way, but I don't rush into anything, 9 times out of 10, within like a week of me having those feelings, somebody from my past will contact me. Do you understand? And it's not always the same person I was necessarily thinking about, but it does kind of help me make this connection and be like, oh, this is why I was feeling sad. This is why I was feeling the energy of missing and regret and nostalgia. And it's because someone was missing me. And this what can happen is like somebody's missing you, and so by them missing you and thinking about you, they're coming back into your energy field. And so you feel that. And sometimes people won't contact you too. And so you don't get that confirmation of being like, oh, this is why I was feeling that way. But even when that's the case, you just have to be strong enough in your intuition to trust that, yes, you can feel people thinking about you and you can feel people missing you. And no, it doesn't mean that you need to contact those people. And again, I'm not saying that you should ghost everybody and that you should never reach back. But what I am saying is that when you experience strong feeling and urges out of nowhere, you should not automatically assume that you are the source of that emotion. Because a lot of times you are the object of someone else's strong emotion. And so just that ability to pause and decide for yourself what you're going to do with those feelings, that allows you to keep your free will. Because see, if you have created energetic boundaries between you and another person, even if it's not energetic, even if it's real, it's verbal, or you've moved away or whatever kind of boundary or a separation that you've instituted between you and other people, it's a very tricky thing when they miss you and you start to think that it's the thought comes from you, because then you act on what you think are your own feelings and they're not your own feelings. And when you act on feelings that are not your own because you don't know that they're not your own, that is a way of someone else taking your free will. It's like they using you like a voodoo doll, like a rag doll, like a puppet. They sticking their arm up your ass and making you say to them what they want to say to you. You understand? Or they're making you feel towards them what really it is that they feel towards you. So you really have to learn the difference between your feelings and someone else's feelings. And in my experience, the easiest way to know is that someone else's feelings are going to come out of nowhere. You weren't already feeling that thing. You weren't already thinking that thing. Okay? So just in keeping with your free will, just remember that just because someone has strong emotions for you and you can feel it, that does not automatically extend them an invitation back into your life. Reaching back and giving people invitations, that should come from your head, from what you think, from what you have decided the pros and the cons are, right? It's not something that you just go with the flow, go with the feeling. No, it needs to be a decision that you think about with both of your eyes open. You have to ask yourself if you want this energy or this person to be a part of your new reality, of your new timeline, because that's what we've been talking about. We've been hop timelines, we creating lanes, we not letting people play with us. So if you've come this far, people can't just think about you and summon you, okay? Like you ain't Harry Potter, right? So if you do pull people into your new timeline because of these heartstrings that they're pulling in you, when they come into your timeline, you have to vouch for them. Okay? Which means that whatever happens in your life after bringing in those old energies, that's on you. Okay? So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I hope after watching this video, you feel more clear about the distinction between the emotions and the impulses that are yours and are not. And you understand that this is a psychic power that is just manifesting in an unexpected way. Okay. But just knowing the difference, it will help you choose, no matter how you feel, it'll help you choose who you want to give your energy or who you want to give your energy to or not. So you just want to question every thought or every feeling that just arrives out of nowhere, right? Just because you hear it or feel it does not mean that you have to claim it. And that's all I got to say. Okay? Thank you for listening. Talk to you next time. Peace.